An old Southwest Conference rivalry renewed as the Arkansas Razorbacks welcome the Texas Longhorns to Fayetteville, helping us break it all down from the Arkansas perspective. A good friend of mine, someone I spent a ton of time with in my journeys in Fayetteville just a few weeks ago. He's the co-host of The Morning Rush there in Fayetteville. Hit that line, Arkansas, ESPN Arkansas. You know who I'm talking about. Tye Richardson joins us once again. Tye, what's going on, man? Appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely, Chris. You think you would have learned your lesson after the amount of time we spent at Auburn and the amount of pain that your liver had to deal with that weekend, but instead you doubled it up, and I'm better off for it, but I don't know if you are.
Well, I can tell you this, my friend. I can't wait to get back to Fayetteville, whenever that might be. A Bud Walton and a bomb trip is going to be much needed for yours truly. More on that later, though. Again, it's Texas week, Tye. Before we get into this Texas game specifically, I want to talk to you about the rivalry, because this was one, Tye, I mean, let's be honest, even weeks ago when I came to Fayetteville, and that was for the Tennessee game, I remember us at the tailgate that weekend talking about, we're excited for this one. You had LSU upcoming. That Texas game, though, man. That Texas game. It just like that was one we were looking forward to. So, but I want to get to this, Tye. Again, Arkansas is at a pivotal point in the season, 5-4 overall, 3-3 in conference. You got 3 games remaining. You are going to beat Louisiana Tech, but 2 big opportunities with Texas at home, at Mizzou to close out the year, which, again, I know the fan base wants that one desperately. But this Texas game, Tye, this one is one that I think would obviously serve as the feather in the cap and the signature win. And you're coming off the bye. Has your opinion on this team changed a whole lot from even a few weeks ago when I saw you and we talked? Where, again, it's just this team has been the definition. The only consistency has been inconsistency, right? I mean, you have your ups, you have your downs. The week following Tennessee, 2 weeks following, that LSU game was electric. The crowd was into it. It was a massive environment. I remember you and I talking about, hey, if you beat Tennessee, what that environment's going to be. You kind of laid a stinker. Then you go beat Mississippi State. Then you come back out against Ole Miss. You lay a stinker again, and now you've gone in the bye week just trying to get some things together. So, like, Tye, how do you make sense of this team, I guess is the question I'm trying to ask you.
I asked my co-host, I was like, is this team the equivalent to when you had to raise a teenage daughter? And he said, yes. Like, you just never know. Sometimes they surprise you. Sometimes they drive you insane. And you referenced the LSU and Ole Miss games. I mean, to come off a bye and to only muster 10 points against an LSU defense that is just okay. They're not a premier Louisiana State defense. Just didn't make any sense. Thought you'd get healthy, and just things were bad for the majority of that game offensively and defensively. You just couldn't stop Garrett Nussmeier. And then Jackson Dart is the game of his life. It was pretty atrocious, that the last 2 displays you put on your home field, but all can be forgiven if you beat Texas. But if you have another stinker like you just referred to, then it's going to be a weird vibe, even if they make a bowl game like you said they're going to. It's hard to couple, like, yes, you've gotten better, but you got rocked in 3 home games. Just don't know how that's going to play out depending on this outcome this weekend, Chris.
And to your point, Tye, even going back to last year, we talked about it's those blowout home losses. Like, that's a great recipe to get yourself on a hot seat. And I will ask you this, Tye, actually. I wasn't going to, but where do we sit right now with Sam Pittman? For those of us who aren't connected to this thing, what's the deal? Is he coming back? I heard reports that he's going to return. Like, where do we sit with that?
He'll be back. I mean, unless they lose to Louisiana Tech and Texas and Missouri, he'll be back. Now, here's the deal, Chris, with Scott Strickland backing Billy Napier, the Florida head coach. I don't think you're going to see a single coach fired in the Southeastern Conference. And I don't know off the top of my head, but I mean, it's got to be several years in this league since that happened. And I think it's with the revenue, the buyouts, everything that's about to apparently start after July of next year. They're prepared. Athletics departments are preparing. And I know that some fan bases are not happy with their head coach right now, but I don't think we see a single one let go this year, Chris.
And to your point, with the ever-changing landscape of college athletics, the revenue sharing upcoming, like you said, we saw Scott Strickland, I would assume. Yeah, I mean, again, I had heard reports, that's why I'm asking you, Tye, that Sam Pittman, and wasn't sure if maybe you thought maybe he was leaning towards retirement, or I know that had been something that was speculation.
Yeah, Chris, he's dealing with a hip, and he's going to have surgery directly after the final game against Missouri and try and get ready for portal recruiting season between that and the bowl game. He'll have stuff to get ready for. But, I mean, that's a fan take. I haven't seen anyone that I would trust that covers Arkansas football to put that out there. So I think that's more of a fan opinion on Sam Pittman's status with Arkansas.
So, Ty, I want to get in the game this weekend and first talk about the rivalry itself. Again, a Southwest Conference rivalry that is renewed. We saw these two teams take on each other in 2021, and the Hawgs absolutely dismantled Steve Sarkisian and the Burnt Orange. We heard at SEC Media Days, Ty, over the summer, Sark say that Arkansas fans hate Texas more than they like Arkansas. Funny enough, Sam Pittman actually a day or two later agreed with that sentiment to a degree. When I was there, specifically, Ty, I was able to, by the courtesy of Arkansas football, which I still can't say thank you enough, tour the indoor facility, the practice facility, whatever. And I've told many people this, Ty, that walking to the indoor football field, the indoor practice facility, many teams have this, but on the wall, you've got the 2024 schedule. And when you get to the Texas part, when you get to the part of the schedule, Texas, it is the horns down logo. It's very clear Arkansas is committed to the horns down. And from talking to you, from talking to others, the hatred for Texas is very real. Can you expand on that and maybe the why behind it and just like your life as a fan, your feelings in regards to Texas?
Well, think about the Southwest Conference back in the day. You're the only non-Texas team, so you're dealing with that, the supposed fair weather, the whistle that would go the other way against you already as an Arkansas football team. And then you think about the resources that Texas has always had compared to, air quotes, little old Arkansas. Now, things have changed with the Tysons and the Hunts and the Waldens and really what's Northwest. You saw Northwest Arkansas a month or so ago. It's completely changed. A lot of people still don't know that. So that, like, small man mentality, I think there's still a little of it there. It's not as big as it used to be. But, I mean, Texas's arrogance, I know since coming in the league, you've gone to several SEC venues, including the Texas and Vanderbilt game in Nashville. Their arrogance knows no bounds. And Alabama football fans are arrogant, but they can back it up because they've put championship after championship on the mantle. Texas hasn't done squat for the better part of 15 years. Now they're finally back in college football relevance. But do you really think this team's going to win the national championship the way they haven't been battle tested? The one team they played all season was Georgia, and they got stomped at home. I just think it's the fans' arrogance that, and I saw a little bit of arrogance from Chris Del Conte, their athletics director, earlier this season at the SEC spring meetings. That's the most egregious part of the Texas Longhorns, and now every SEC fan sees exactly why Arkansas and all these other Southwest Conference and Big 12 members have hated the Longhorns for so long.
Ty, I know you have a disdain for A&M as well. I'll ask you, how does that – okay, I was going to ask, how does that compare and contrast, and is it greater for A&M because Arkansas hasn't played Texas up until now? They'll start doing it yearly again, or is it just A&M's just different?
A&M's worse, and I'm probably the only Arkansas fan that has that. I mean, when you lose to a team every year since 2012, with the exception of one win in 2021, it's so painful. And Missouri, they've at least beaten twice since 2012, but it's atrocious. Arkansas hadn't beaten Alabama since Nick Saban arrived on campus. Obviously, he's not there anymore. You've got Kalen DeBoer, but from 2007 to 2023, Arkansas never beat the Alabama Crimson Tide. So there's a couple teams. I respect Alabama. I hate them, but I respect them. A&M, I don't respect because I don't think they're going to get over the hump. I think losing Moss earlier this season was a big, big thing for the football team moving forward. But yeah, A&M will just always be it's A&M football, Kentucky basketball, Ole Miss baseball. Three most disliked teams in the Southeastern Conference from my vantage point. Ole Miss took that national championship. Kentucky basketball fans are inbreds. And then A&M has just the biggest cult / weirdest fan base in all of college sports.
So, Ty, give us an idea. Again, I know you just kind of expanded on the hatred for Texas, but the dynamic of this rivalry and when these two teams play each other. I mean, I saw the 2021 game, but outside of that, Ty, I couldn't tell you the last time they played. It's just not a series I've paid that much close attention to. When these two teams play, like, what do you typically get? What do you typically expect when the Hogs and Horns do battle?
Hogs will play better than advertised. The betting line started about 16.5 this week. It's already down like 14 or so. So there's public money coming in on the Hogs, it looks like. I mean, on paper, Texas should beat this team by 3 or 4 touchdowns. And yet it could be a game heading into the fourth quarter that's a 1-score game or 10-point game. You just don't know. Texas has always had more talent. You were talking about recent games. So that 2021 game where Arkansas just steamrolled them, I think it was 40-21 the final. In 2014, they won the Texas Bowl. It was like 31-7 or 31. It was a very low scoring affair for Texas. Arkansas dominated that day. Then Arkansas got their butts handed to, I think it was 09 or 08. That was when Colt McCoy and those guys were rolling. Then the Razorbacks also lost a tight one in 2004, but they won in 2003 in Austin, won in 2000 in the Cotton Bowl. I think it's 5 of the last 7 have gone to the Hogs. So I know Arkansas fans, again, they gear up especially for this game, as you learned when you were in Fayetteville for the game against the Tennessee Volunteers. And you just hope that the ones that made the investment heading this game on Saturday, it's return. You see some return on this investment, and it's just not a bloodbath.
So, Ty, when you look at the Texas Longhorns in regards to the matchup on the field, I'm sure you guys over there at Hit That Line, ESPN Arkansas, have been breaking this thing down all week. When you look at Texas, what do you see specifically from a standpoint of matchups? Maybe areas you think Arkansas can exploit and take advantage of? And then are there areas of concern that you see as strengths for Texas that Arkansas better be ready for on Saturday?
Well, their one loss this season went back through 3 interceptions against Texas.
And
they still got trounced in that game. I know they came back
a lot of short fields for Georgia in that game after Texas turnovers. But yes, Beck did not play well. Yeah.
No, and so like even in a loss, Texas defense didn't play horrible. They just got put in an awful situation. So this is a complete football team. I go back to what I said earlier. They hadn't played anybody outside of Georgia in that one game. They maybe show their true colors. We'll have to wait and see. But that's what you hold on to. You hold on to a little luck. And you hold on to the idea that, hey, this team's not going to be ready for hopefully the most geared up that Arkansas has been all season, with the exception of that Tennessee game at night. And this game means a lot to Taylon Green. It means a lot to Jaquindon Jackson. Those are 2 Texas kids. Andrew Armstrong, Texas kid. You think about, like, where you grew up, like, the big institution-wise. Let's say you didn't get in there, or you got passed on, whatever the case may be. I mean, that's a big deal for a lot of Texas kids, not just that go to Arkansas, but Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, whatever teams that would play Texas on a yearly basis. And that's what these guys get to do on Saturday. They get to prove to Steve Sarkisian, hey, brother, you should have given me a scholarship. I'm going to show you why on Saturday.
Ty, when you look at this game, key or keys to the game. If Arkansas is going to pull this upset, and believe it or not, Ty, because, when I'm looking around, I don't know that many folks are giving the Hogs a chance to win this game. I have seen a few, though, believe it or not. So if it's going to happen, Ty, if it's going to happen, key or keys to the game for Arkansas to pull that upset?
I think they just got to run the football. Jaquindon Jackson sounds like he's going to be back for this game. He's one of the Texas kids I referenced. He is a stud when healthy. He was leading the SEC in touchdowns and yards at one point this season, and then injuries kind of derailed him from continuing on to what looked to be a really promising year. If he's healthy and that offensive line is clicking, keep Quinn Ewers off the field, give Steve Sarkisian some nervous ticks. Like he looked as nervous as I've ever seen him as a college football coach in Fayetteville years ago. Now, he didn't have the same roster outside of Bijan Robinson that he does now, but just shorten the game. You shorten the game, and that Texas offense gets a little tight, they get a little worried, then maybe have a shot. But if they can't run the football, it's going to be a 4-touchdown laugher for the Longhorns, Chris.
Tye Richardson, ESPN Arkansas. Hit That Line, Arkansas, the Morning Rush. Tye, you big horns down guy? You like throwing the horns down?
Yes, I have a Tuck Texas shirt. Again, I don't get as amped up against Texas is a lot of Arkansas, Oklahoma fans, Texas A&M fans, and others. I don't like Texas, but again, I told you who I hated the most earlier, but there's no love for the Texas Longhorns. My cousin went to school there. She's pretty outspoken about the football program and the team, so that does not give me any extra love towards the Texas Longhorns.
Tuck Texas.
Tuck Texas.
I love that, man. I love that. Have you, last thing before we get out of your time, we'll keep this on air. Have you frequented Austin by chance?
I've been there one time. We went in 2018, a year after I graduated. We went to, it's not the Guadalupe, maybe it's the San Marcos. We went to see the Bats, which if you haven't seen the Bats, you need to go do that. There, we went to, is it 6th Street? It's been 6 years since I've been there, so it's been a while. Had some of the best tacos I've ever had at a local taco truck. We went to the, there's like a pool there. Again, I was drunk 90% of that trip, and now I'm trying to, again, recollect all these years ago, 6 years ago. But yeah, it was cool. I just got a New Orleans vibe. There were like strippers outside the bars. It was just kind of dirty. It was not my scene then. I didn't go to Darrell Royal Memorial Stadium. I'd like to go to a game there next year for Arkansas the Longhorns, obviously, but it was not near as cool as I thought it was going to be compared to the other SEC college towns. There's probably 6 or 7 SEC college towns that I would take over Austin. I know that's a hot take because, yeah, keep Austin weird, bro, but no, that's...
I simply asked, Tye, because the SEC Unfiltered Tour will be in Austin, Texas next weekend for the Texas-Kentucky game. So you, my friend, have been a great resource for us in regards to where to go. Best bars of the SEC. Tye Richardson is, again, we may sit down in the offseason and do a top 10 list because Tye and I were having that idea. Yeah, so I'll have to – yeah.
And speaking of that, Chris, I had a friend that was at a wedding in Gainesville last weekend, and I was like, dude, you have to go to the Salty Dog. So his
place.
Girlfriend, his girlfriend sends me a picture of him. He bought a shirt that night. Then he went back for college football the next day. So he was all. I mean, I can pretty much give you of the 10 college towns I think I've been to. I can give you the number 1, number 2 bars in that town. And I mean, the SEC is full of great restaurants and bars. There's just so many great watering holes in this conference across the board.
No doubt. Tye Richardson, ESPN Arkansas, hit that line, Arkansas. And again, the co-host of the Morning Rush, which airs every day, 9 to 11 a.m. Central Time, Monday through Friday. He's at Tye Sports Radio on social media. Tye, always a pleasure, my friend. Appreciate you taking the time. And looking forward to seeing you again in Fort Smith and Fayetteville soon, my man.
Absolutely. Chris, you're welcome anytime, especially for a Hog basketball and upcoming baseball series, too.
All right, we'll do it again soon, Tye. Appreciate you.